Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is April the 15th, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, with high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Haven't done too much this Saturday. It's been kind of a mildly efficient, lazy day. I did some laundry and I took a nap. So it's been nice. Nice. Let's see. Food corner though. Got a little bit. I went and got some donuts. Jupiter donuts. I would say the highlight donut. I won't waste your time with all of them. But it was this cake donut with buttercream icing, and the icing was like laid on there like really thick, which I liked. Then it was coated with these like pearl like icing balls, and it was very yummy. I had seen it the last time I'd gotten there, and I just had ordered so many donuts and a cookie. I was like, that's it. That's enough for me. So this worked out really well for me, and I was good. It was good. I liked it, and all the other donuts were good. And I had some chocolate milk, chalky milk. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably didn't get whole milk, and that was an L for me. But that's okay. Sometimes you just miss the D. All right, let's get into some news. From the Associated Press, airstrikes on Myanmar village feared to have killed 100. Now, I believe I actually checked this number before I went on, and I think the number is now up to like at least 170. But airstrikes by Myanmar's military on Tuesday killed as many as 100 people, including many children who were attending a ceremony held by opponents of army rule, said a witness, a member of a local pro democracy group, and independent media. The military is increasingly using airstrikes to counter a widespread armed struggle against its rule, which began in February of 2021 when it seized power from the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. More than 3,000 civilians are estimated to have been killed since by security forces. And I mean, Aung Suu Kyi was like a person we've covered before on this podcast. I think last time we checked, I think she's still in prison. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure. I'm just not sure in terms of like how her treatment condition has been since. But this was a big development, obviously, very sad development. A witness told the Associated Press that a fighter jet dropped bombs directly onto the crowd of people who were gathering at 8 a.m. for the opening of a local office of the country's opposition movement outside Paigizi. I can't pronounce that correctly, that's for sure, but I'm gonna try it. Pazigi village in Sengane's region's Canblau township. The area is about 110 kilometers or 70 miles north of Mandalay, the country's second largest city. About a half an hour later, a helicopter appeared and fired at the site, said the witness, who asked not to be identified for fear of punishment. So, one of the pictures I used in the thumbnail was a motorcycle that was intact from that whole bombing and helicopter firing. But, you know, amidst that, there were other motorcycles that were completely charred and burnt. Any kind of building, insulation, whatever in that area was just leveled. So yeah, I mean, it was just pretty devastating. This is not, sadly, an uncommon thing in terms of the military action. They have, like, I mean, one of the earlier things that happened where there was peaceful protest and military just came out and just shot and killed people. And I know this is like one of those things, like there's not a lot of coverage on this because there's not much that's seemingly being done or going to be done. There are talks of trying to do sanctions or embargoes on specific people in the military, also trying to limit the amount of fuel they can get for the aircrafts that they have, to kind of to attempt to level this a little bit so that they can't use those kind of tactics as often. But that being said, they still have just more military might. They have more weapons technology than the people who are, fighting them on the ground. And I guess you can say from the armor's side, they do try to dub this as terrorism, and they try to paint this picture that, they're just trying to crush this uprising. But it just doesn't stack up at all. Human rights advocacy groups have definitely come out in, defense of the people who are more or less just defending themselves and, fighting every day for their lives. I haven't heard too much. I also haven't researched a ton into this. That's partially why I don't do too much coverage on this stuff, but it's also just one of those things where it is kind of like you're staring at an abyss here, where it's like, well, what can be done? What's going to be done? And it's a lot of shrugs and a lot of silence. But, whenever there's a big development, I do like to go back to Myanmar and try to do at least a little bit of coverage. Let's see. In another situation that's taking place from Al Jazeera, analysis: fighting erupts in Sudan after months of tension. Excuse me. Friction between the army and the RSF paramilitary group was exacerbated by Sudan's political process, analysts say. So this is a little bit like when, I talk about anything like in the Middle East, or even the other episode where I'm talking about Ireland and stuff. I'm going to come in here and put the dunce cap on my head and tell you, hey, I don't know Bo Diddley about what the fuck is going on. But I did, see this, and I will say that this article does help a lot. It'll illustrate what is going on at a snapshot. So, hopefully I'll try to read as much as I kind of can here. Not keep it too long, but, Sudan woke up to heavy clashes between the army and a powerful paramilitary force known as the Rapid Support Forces on Saturday. The two rivals have long competed for relevance and power, but an internationally backed political process launched last year exacerbated tensions between them, analysts and activists say. Civilians in the capital of Khartoum reported seeing armored vehicles from both forces roaming the streets while hearing heavy gunfire in multiple urban quarters. The RSF said it has taken control of the presidential palace and Khartoum International Airport, which cannot be confirmed. The group also said it has seized Marawi Airport, which houses Sudanese and Egyptian fighter planes. Sudan's Army General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan denied the RSF's claims. Let's see here. But it has been a big escalation, a lot of violence on the street. I do believe 3 people have died, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. There's more reading. But there was essentially a chance of democracy at one point, but things devolved, and essentially it wound up coming down to the army and the RSF saying, hey, we're in control now. We're going to set, the standard, what's going to happen. And then a little bit about let's read a little bit more. The RSF evolved from the RSF evolved from Arab armed groups that have been accused of carrying out massacres in Darfur in the early 2000s, according to global rights groups including Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International. It was created in 2013 by former President Omar al-Bashir, who placed the group directly under his command and tasked it with protecting his rule from top army generals, his feared intelligence service. Though this didn't work, and in April of 2019, both the army and RSF turned against al-Bashir following months of pro-democracy protests. The RSF continued to operate independently from the army, while the two forces competed for state assets, foreign patrons, legitimacy, and recruits. Now, things have kind of, obviously come to a head now. Also, it seems that RSF kind of shifted back to like a pro-democracy, or shifted to a pro-democracy position to kind of like stay relevant and, stay in the fight. Let's see here. Diplomatic sources said that the Quad, US, UK, and UAE, and Saudi Arabia were most active in trying to mediate the dispute between the RSF and the army in recent days. The UN political mission in Sudan, known as UNITAMAS, I'm just going to read that acronym out as that, also made separate efforts, according to informed sources, that were not authorized to speak on record due to the sensitive nature of the talks. So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of coverage there. I know I kind of read a little bit more than I usually like to, but I felt like, hey, if I just kind of stick to the script here, that gives you a little bit more information and understanding, and hopefully we can all learn together. Or if you are very familiar with this kind of shit in this area, please, like, give me feedback. Let me know what I can fuck up, what I can improve upon, any kind of resources. Because my goal is to just get better at doing news commentary, Like, I really hope that you guys are still catching me in my nascency, and hopefully one day I can look back on this and say, like, yeah, I've gotten a lot better at telling this stuff. I've gotten a lot better at doing this coverage, and you guys would hopefully be a part of that. Yeah, we are Legion. I'm hoping here. All right, let's move on to the next thing. From USA Today, U.S. charges sons of El Chapo, Sinaloa cartel members in fentanyl trafficking crackdown. The Department of Justice on Friday announced charges in fentanyl trafficking investigation against more than 24 members of Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, including the 4 sons of now imprisoned cartel leader El Chapo, known as the Chapitos. Now, we have covered that. That was a big situation that went down. It was actually like their second big attempt at trying to catch them, and they were successful this time. Granted, this wasn't America, but like Mexico wound up doing it, I think. Let's see. From what I recall, let's see. Attorney General Merrick Garland said the charges take aim at the largest, most violent, and most prolific fentanyl trafficking operation in the world, run by the Sinaloa cartel and fueled by the Chinese precursor chemical and pharmaceutical companies. Now, last sentence is a big sentence to me. It's like, I feel like the bigger development in the conversation. I also think it's a way for America to kind of point another finger at China, saying, hey, this is what you guys are doing wrong internationally. You guys are part of the problem on why we have this killer drug in our streets. Which, obviously, there is some merit to that in the sense of, yes, they do produce this fentanyl, and through illegal means and channels, it is being trafficked and funneled, point to point to point, and winding up in America, in, I'm sure, a lot of places. That being said, I feel like that's just more of a political thing than anything else. I don't know. But at the same time, any kind of effort to, I guess, knock a blow into this situation is going to be looked at as a good thing. But well, I don't know. The whole conversation just reads like this is a war on drugs. And granted, though, the violence, I think, is the biggest concern. The fact that it's just so unchecked. And, obviously it's something that is affecting the U.S. So it's a big deal. But obviously this is a big indictment. I'm not sure in terms of if the Chapitos themselves are going to be tried in America, but I mean, at least they're going to be charged, I guess. But according to the indictments, 28 people were charged in the Southern District of New York, 4 in the Northern District of Illinois, and another in the District of Columbia. Some were charged in more than one indictment. 8 of the defendants are in the custody of international partners, and the U.S. will be seeking their extradition, Garland said. So that's, kind of part of what I was saying is like, they are putting these charges into place so that they can say, hey, why don't you go ahead and give them over to Papa, and we'll charge them. We'll give them big boy crime, big boy crime and big boy jail. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure there'll be more coverage to be had there. Let's see. From Newsweek. TikTok fires back at Montana lawmakers after vote to ban app. Now, last time we left TikTok, conversation on TikTok, they were fighting for their lives. They are, trying to not get banned in the USA. And, there has obviously been bans at the government federal level or whatever saying hey, you can't have this app on your phone. It's bad. They're tracking us, and it's all going to China. China's looking at all our data, or they could influence us. Blah 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 blah. But Montana said, "Fuck it, we're full sending right now." TikTok has accused Montana lawmakers of backing egregious government overreach after they voted on Friday to ban the app owned by Chinese company ByteDance on all personal devices in the state, which is, to me, very, very big. I did not expect this to happen so fast. In a state, you just be like, yeah, no, we're cool with this. Let's just get it out of the way now. It's signed into law by Republican Governor Greg Giaforte. The ban would make it illegal for app stores to offer TikTok for download, though those who already have the app installed won't be prevented from using it. It would come into effect in January of 2024. So already right there, you're seeing that this is already a problem. It actually weirdly reminds me of Flappy Bird. I don't know if you remember that app, but Flappy Bird is a little game, and they're like little Mario pipes, and your goal is you're a little bird, and you're just trying to dodge them. It was a little fun, little cute, kitschy app, and people played it, had fun, but then it came off the store, and all of a sudden there was a little quick flash pan phase of people being like, oh, I got Flappy Bird on my phone. This makes my phone a little bit more valuable, huh? But that being said, I just can't imagine people in Montana being like, oh, well, I'm so glad I have TikTok downloaded because now I can't download it in the year of 2024. Also, it just seems like I wonder then, what if I just set my data just outside of Montana? This just seems so hard to enforce. I don't know, the logistics on this seem like a nightmare because you're only Montana. You're not the whole of US. You should just wait, in my opinion. But I don't know. This does seem to have a bit of bipartisan support across the board. People seem to just kind of be okay with this, at least in terms of our government. I will say, though, in terms of the Restrict Act, we've covered that before. The federal ban that they're trying to do. Speaking of overreach, I really think that they are taking liberties. In a lot of ways, just from what I've plucked out of the act itself, the paper of it, it feels more like a digitized version of the Patriot Act. And I'm being a little bit hyperbolic there, you could say, but the kind of control that they're going to get is not just focused on TikTok. It's focused on them being able to get access to your phone and look around. And that's unnecessary when the whole conversation is you're trying to keep our data from China is the whole fucking point, which TikTok has said, whoa, we are working to make sure that it is 100% all in America. There's not going to be a way about this. China won't be able to access it. That being said, even if you do shut down TikTok, any of your problems, your worries, your fears, they can happen on Instagram. They can happen on Facebook. They can happen on Twitter. They can happen on any social media app on a phone, a computer. Like, I don't know. This just feels like one of those things where people are trying to score easy points politically. So they're like, yeah, let's just fucking take out TikTok. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I will say TikTok it's kind of corny to me, but TikTok is kind of doing this thing where, hold on, we'll read a little bit. We will continue to fight for TikTok users and creators in Montana whose livelihoods and First Amendment rights are threatened by this egregious government overreach. There's a message I think they sent to Montana too. The ban sponsors say it will address national security concerns that TikTok operates as a surveillance tool for the Chinese government. That's simply not true. The fact is, all data for our U.S. users is stored on servers in the United States, and U.S.-based personnel manage access to that data, and the algorithms that determined your For You feed. Montana's bill isn't about making users safe. It's about unilaterally restricting the freedom of Montanans based on nothing more than fears and falsehoods. So there are obviously parts of that ring true to me, but definitely just the idea that like TikTok is fighting for the TikTok users. Like, no, y'all just want to make sure that this whole anti-TikTok ban doesn't spread. You don't want to see this happen. You know, I've seen this rhetoric, at least from people who were protesting outside of what is it, Congress or whatever, when they were talking to was it Stephen Chow, the CEO guy? No, not Stephen Chow. Wow, I'm fucked up. TikTok CEO Xiaozi Chu. Jeez, old fucking Pete's. I'm bad for that. But essentially, people were saying like, hey, like, you know, these were, I imagine, people who maybe have made some money in TikTok, what have you. They're saying like, hey, like, this is out of line. Like, you guys are trying to shut down my livelihood for something that's completely unfounded and baseless. So clearly they're trying to hold on to that energy and, you know, apply it here. And that makes sense. But I just thought that was kind of funny because, I mean, I don't think TikTok cares about anybody in fucking Montana. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. We're at the end. We're at the last article. Parting in such sweet sorrow. But I'm gonna hold out a little longer. I'm gonna take my little break. Feel free to, you know, take a break with me if you like. Smoke them if you got them, if you will. Some say that. All right. From CNN, Juul to pay $462 million to 6 states in its largest settlement ever. We've covered the downfall of Juul a little bit in previous podcast episodes. This one is definitely taking the cake in terms of settlements, though. Juul Labs, the e-cigarette maker, is paying $462 million to 6 United States and D.C. In the largest multi-state settlement yet for the troubled company that has been accused of contributing to the rise of vaping among youth. Now, I'm not going to really go through the whole blah, 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 blah. A lot of people are saying, they were disgusted and enraged with Juul. And for some reason, that makes me defensive as a smoker. Like, I don't know. Like it just seems overblown. But I am reminded that, despite the fact that it's like, because I get upset, like, well, why did they ban, the flavors and stuff? Like, oh, is Juul supposed to be punished for making good flavors? But a lot of the arguments were, you're making these flavors and they're masking how bad this really is for a person. Kind of like the Four Loko conversation, which I gotta say, what is it? Voodoo Ranger is getting away with it. We did a beer tasting on that shit, and I realized days after, I'm like, You know what that shit fucking tasted like? It didn't taste like no goddamn IPA. It tasted like Four Loko. And I started realizing that they're on a little run here. And I'm like, y'all motherfuckers are trying to bring Four Lokos back. And that's not cool, bro. Nobody needs this. But that being said, like, Juul really pushed the envelope and said, hey, like, we're gonna, like, make the best tasting, coolest looking motherfucking vape that you've ever seen, and you're gonna want to buy it. And they really did not care that a lot of this marketing was very enticing to kids, was very enticing to, like, you know, teenagers, youth, whatever. And hearing that they even were like telling high schoolers like, oh, this shit is less addictive than cigarettes. And that to me is damning. That to me is like a nail in the coffin. Like, that's way too far. I don't know, man. Joe the Camel never did that shit, bro. That's out of pocket. That's out of line. Because at the end of the day, I remember that wave when vape became a thing in the culture, that people made the shift from cigarettes to the little, you know, e-cigarette, or they had vape rigs, and they would all tell me, oh, well, this is so much healthier. I feel so much better now that I'm doing this vape. And they do a whole chirk, and then they blow out a billowing nimbus cloud of smoke. And I'm like, yeah, sure, cool, whatever. Like, I'm over here smoking weed. I'm not trying to live here for a long time. Like, I'm So at the end of the day, I get the idea of like putting this placebo over your head and being like, yeah, this isn't as bad as the old tobacco, but especially in the Juul sense, no, dude, like this is definitely bad for you. It's not good. You're getting the popcorn lung. It's not a good look. Like either way, you're gonna wind up on the fucking Truth commercial. You feel me? It's not good. So I do understand why this has merit. That being said, I'm surprised that I think Juul's net worth is still around like $2 billion. I don't know how they're still standing. I think I've read from a spokesperson saying something about how like they're trying to like, I don't know, focus on scientific innovation. I'm like, how, dude? Like there's tons of vapes now. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, man, smoke them if you got them. That's all I got for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to help support financially, let's see, patreon.com, just Isaiah News. $5 a month gets you bonus access to the episodes I do. I do one every week that is paywalled. Not that it's anything crazy or whatever, but just kind of gives you the full continuity, you know. You get 100% of me. Sometimes, though, I will do episodes on there that are a little bit more personal or a little bit more, like, I just don't want it on the main feed, so I put it there. A little bit more sacred, if you will. Let's see. Also, there's a hot link to the Discord, though the Discord is free. You can always hit me up and find me, and I will just give you that. And then let's see. You become a newsie. And with that status, you get the shout-out once a month. And you get to plug any kind of thing you'd like, any kind of project you're working on, you know, a little link and build action there, if you will. Also, gives you priority on, like, news that you want me to cover. If you want me to say, hey, I found this thing, Isaiah, I want you to cover it. Let me know. Give it to me, newsies. I want it. That being said, any free way to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Also, Facebook, Twitter. While it's still on, while it's still, you know, a thing, you know, I'm there. I do have other accounts in other places. Good luck if you find them. You can always comment on the YouTube. We got a YouTube. Also, if you want to rate me on the what is it? The iTunes. You can give me a nice high rating, if you will. You can comment, like I said, on the YouTube. Yeah, I'm all over this. I'm all over this internet space, man. That's it. That's all I got. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.